Lieutenant Alexandra Alex Murphy stared through the large window of the bridge. Her blue eyes narrowed as she watched the alien ships move closer. The massive vessels looked like dark mountains against the starry backdrop of space. Each one was at least 3 times bigger than the largest human ship. "They're coming into formation, Captain," Alex said, turning to look at Captain Samuel Weiss. Captain Weiss nodded, his face showing no fear, even though everyone on the bridge felt it. He was a tall man with short gray hair and steady hands. 20 years in the United Earth Coalition Space Force had prepared him for many things, but not for aliens who wanted to take over Earth. "How long until they're in weapons range?" he asked. Alex checked her screen. The numbers and charts told a clear story. "About 10 minutes, sir. The aliens called themselves the Vorsidians. They had arrived in Earth's solar system 3 weeks ago without warning. At first, Earth tried to talk with them. They sent messages of peace and friendship. The aliens answered with demands for Earth to surrender. When Earth said no, the Vorsidians promised to show humans their place in the galaxy. "All ships report ready, Captain," said Communications Officer Diane Peterson. She was new to the USS Defiance, but she worked like someone with years of experience. Her dark skin looked pale under the harsh bridge lights. "Admiral Garcia says we have permission to defend ourselves when they get close enough." Captain Weiss touched a button on his chair. His voice carried to every corner of the ship. "This is the captain speaking. Battle stations. Prepare for combat." People moved faster now. The sound of boots on metal floors echoed through the halls. On the bridge, officers checked their stations again and again. No one wanted to make a mistake today. Alex looked at her weapons control panel. The Defiance carried the best weapons humans had made. Railguns that could fire metal slugs at incredible speeds, missiles with powerful warheads, and the new laser systems that scientists had only finished testing last year. But would any of it work against the aliens? No one knew. "I want targeting solutions on the 3 lead ships," Captain Weiss ordered. "Let's see what they're made of." Alex's fingers moved across her screen. "Targeting computers locked, sir. Railguns and missile tubes ready." The minutes passed slowly. Alex watched the alien ships grow larger on the main screen. They looked strange, not like human ships with their practical shapes. The Vorsidian vessels had curves and points that seemed to make no sense. They shimmered with a faint blue light that Alex guessed was some kind of shield. "They're entering weapons range," she reported. Captain Weiss stood up. His voice was calm but firm. "Fire warning shots, let's see how they respond." Alex pressed the firing controls. The ship shook slightly as railguns launched their metal projectiles toward the aliens. On the screen, tiny flashes showed where the railgun shots were racing through space. What happened next surprised everyone. The railgun shots seemed to slow down as they got close to the alien ships. Then they stopped completely, hanging in space before disappearing into small flashes of light. "They have some kind of defense field," Alex said, checking her readings. "It's absorbing our shots." Before Captain Weiss could give new orders, the aliens fired back. Bright beams of green energy shot from the largest Vorsidian ship. They hit the USS Montana, one of the smaller ships in Earth's defense fleet. The Montana's shields flared and died in seconds. The next beam cut through the ship's hull like it was made of paper. "Montana is hit badly, sir," Diane called out. "They've lost engines and life support is failing." "Get rescue ships to them," Captain Weiss ordered. "All ships' evasive maneuvers fire at will." The space between Earth and the moon became bright with weapons fire. Human ships launched everything they had. Missiles flew in swarms, railguns fired nonstop, and laser systems tried to cut through alien shields. Most of it seemed to do nothing. The aliens' blue shields absorbed or deflected almost everything. Only a few lucky hits caused small flashes on their hulls. The Vorsidians fired back with terrible skill. Their green energy beams sliced through human ships. The USS Arizona broke in half. The USS Nevada lost its weapon systems. The USS Missouri drifted without power. "This isn't working," Alex said, frustration clear in her voice. "Our weapons can't get through their shields properly." Captain Weiss gripped the rail in front of him. Keep firing. Try different patterns. There has to be a weak point. For 10 more minutes, the battle continued. Human ships fired and fired, most shots being stopped by alien shields. A few hits landed, but they caused only small damage. The aliens kept shooting their green beams, disabling 3 more Earth ships. Then suddenly the Vorsidians stopped firing. All their ships held position. "Captain, we're getting a transmission from the alien fleet," Diane said, sounding surprised. "They want to talk." "Put it on screen," Captain Weiss ordered. The main screen changed to show a Vorsidian. It looked almost like a tall, thin human with skin that changed colors like oil on water. But it had 4 eyes set in a face with hard angles, and its mouth had small moving parts instead of lips. When it spoke, its voice sounded like several people talking at once, but the words were in perfect English. "Your primitive weapons amuse us," the alien said. "Your species wastes energy firing inaccurate projectiles. This is why you are unfit to join the advanced races of the galaxy. We will return tomorrow to accept your surrender." The screen went dark before Captain Weiss could answer. "Sir," Diane said, her voice shaking a little, "I think they're laughing at us." Alex checked her targeting data and frowned. "Most of our shots did miss their mark, sir, but that's because their shields are deflecting them. It's not bad aiming." Captain Weiss turned to look at the image of Earth showing on a side screen. The blue planet seemed small and vulnerable with the alien fleet hanging above it. "Get me a secure line to Admiral Garcia," he said finally, "and download all our combat data. If the aliens think our weapons are just inaccurate, they've misunderstood something important about how humans fight." As crew members hurried to follow his orders, Captain Weiss added quietly, "They mock our firing now. Tomorrow they'll learn we weren't aiming for what they thought." Admiral Caroline Garcia stood at the front of the large meeting room. The wall showed pictures of Earth from space and maps of where the alien ships were. Around the table sat 20 men and women in military uniforms. Their faces looked tired, but determined. "The Vorsidians will return in less than 18 hours, Admiral Garcia said. She was a short woman with gray hair cut close to her head. Her voice was strong and clear. "They think they've won already. They believe our weapons are weak and our aim is bad." Captain Weiss, who had come straight from the USS Defiance, spoke up. "But that's not what happened, Admiral. Their shields are bending our shots away. We weren't missing, they were stopping us." "Exactly," said Admiral Garcia with a small smile. "And that's what they don't understand about humans. That's what will help us win." Major Frank Williams raised his hand. He was the head of the Special Weapons Division, the group that made new weapons for Earth's defense. "We've studied the battle data from all ships. The Vorsidians have very strong shields against direct hits. But there's something interesting in the readings." He pressed a button and a large picture appeared on the wall. It showed one of the alien ships with colored lines around it. "Their shields are strongest where we aim directly at their ships," Major Williams explained. "But look here." He pointed to areas around the alien ship. "When our shots missed or were deflected and passed near their ships, we detected small changes in their shield strength, like ripples in water." Dr. Olivia Martinez stood up next. She was not a soldier but a scientist who studied alien life. "We think we know why. The Vorsidians evolved from ambush hunters on their home world. They hide and then attack in straight lines. They don't understand curved paths or indirect attacks." "In simple terms," Admiral Garcia said, "they expect us to shoot straight at them. That's why their shields are strongest in the direct path. They literally can't understand why we would shoot anywhere else." Around the table, people began to nod as they understood what this meant. "So we don't aim at their ships," Captain Weiss said slowly. "We aim around them." "Better than that," Major Williams said. He looked excited now. "We have a new weapon system that can use this weakness. We call it the scatter field array." He showed pictures of a strange-looking gun. Instead of one big barrel, it had many small ones spread out in a circle. "This doesn't fire single shots," he explained. "It creates fields of small, fast-moving particles all around a target, not to hit it directly, but to stress its shields from all sides at once." Admiral Garcia looked at the officers around the table. "We need to install these on as many ships as possible before the Vorsidians return. We won't aim at their ships. We'll aim at the space around them and create an area they can't safely move through. For the next 4 hours, the meeting room was full of activity. Officers called their ships. Engineers drew plans. Supply officers arranged for the new weapons to be sent up from Earth. It was a race against time. Lieutenant Alex Murphy found herself reassigned to a new ship, the USS Intrepid. It was one of the newest ships in Earth's fleet, just finished 2 months ago. Now it would be the first to use the new scatterfield array weapons. She stood in the loading bay, watching as workers installed the strange weapons. Instead of the large railgun barrels she was used to, these were flat panels with hundreds of tiny holes. First time seeing the SF arrays? A voice asked beside her. Alex turned to see a man with oil-stained hands and a tired face. He wore the uniform of an engineer with the name Kevin Powell on it. Yes, she said. They don't look very powerful. Kevin smiled. That's what makes them perfect. The aliens are looking for big guns and obvious threats. These don't look dangerous, but they can change the nature of space itself. Across Earth's orbit, similar work was happening on every ship that survived the first battle. Regular people were moved away from Earth to bases on the Moon and Mars. Every ship that could fight was being made ready. In the meeting room of the Intrepid, Commander Helen Foster spoke to her team. Alex sat in the front row taking notes. These Forsythians don't understand how humans fight, Commander Foster said. She was a tall woman with red hair pulled back tightly. They evolved in a world where hunting meant waiting and then attacking in a straight line. They never had to chase prey that ran in zigzags or hid in hard-to-reach places. So they can't understand tricks or indirect attacks? Asked Eric Johnson, the man in charge of weapons on the Intrepid. Exactly, Commander Foster said. Their shield technology needs lots of energy to work. It's strongest where they expect attacks to come from, directly at their ships. We're going to attack from every direction at once, not by firing at them, but by creating dangerous areas of space all around them. Alex raised her hand. How exactly does that work? Commander Foster showed a picture of small dots moving in, circles around a bigger shape. The SF array fires thousands of tiny particles in careful patterns. Each particle is too small to cause damage alone, but together, they create fields of energy that force the alien shields to work harder and harder until they break down. As the meeting ended, Alex felt a mix of fear and hope. The plan seemed strange but clever. Would it work? Would the aliens fall for it? That night, in her small room on the Intrepid, Alex looked at a picture of Earth she had stuck on her wall. The blue planet seemed peaceful from space. No one could tell that its people were preparing for the fight of their lives. They laughed at our aim, she said quietly to herself. Tomorrow they'll learn we weren't aiming where they thought. Across Earth's orbit, hundreds of ships made last-minute preparations. The new weapons were installed and tested. Crews studied the battle plans. Everyone knew what was at stake. At headquarters, Admiral Garcia sent one final message to all ships. Remember, we're not trying to hit them directly. We're changing the rules. They think we can't aim. Show them we were aiming exactly where we wanted all along. As the hours passed, radar stations detected the Vorsidian fleet returning. Just as they promised, they had come back for Earth's surrender. But Earth wasn't planning to surrender. Earth was planning to surprise them. The Vorsidian fleet appeared exactly as promised. Their huge ships moved into Earth's orbit in a perfect V-shape. Their shimmering blue shields gave them an eerie glow against the blackness of space. Lieutenant Alex Murphy took a deep breath as she watched them approach. The bridge of the USS Intrepid was quiet. Everyone was at their stations waiting. The ship felt different with the new scatter field arrays installed. There was a low hum coming from the power systems that hadn't been there before. All ships report ready, Commander, said Eric Johnson from the weapons station. His voice was steady, but his fingers tapped nervously on his console. Commander Helen Foster nodded. Hold positions. Wait for the signal from Admiral Garcia. On the main screen, they could see the rest of Earth's fleet spread out in what looked like a random pattern. To someone who didn't know the plan, it might seem like the ships were poorly organized. But every position had been carefully calculated. They're sending a transmission, said the communications officer. The screen changed to show the Vorsidian commander. Its four eyes blinked in an uneven pattern. Its skin shifted colors from blue to green as it spoke. Humans, we have returned as promised. Your primitive weapons cannot harm us. Surrender now and we will allow your species to live as our servants. Resist, and we will destroy you. The screen switched back to the view of space. Alex saw Commander Foster touch her earpiece, listening to a private message. Admiral Garcia says, "Remember Pearl Harbor," Commander Foster said to the bridge crew. Alex knew what that meant. It was a code phrase from human history. It meant they would strike first, not wait to be attacked. "All weapon stations," Commander Foster ordered, "begin firing pattern alpha, not directly at their ships. Remember, we want to create fields around them, not hit them." Alex's fingers moved across her control panel. The scatter field array was different from normal weapons. Instead of aiming at a target, she had to program a space area for the particles to fill. "Firing now," she reported. Across the human fleet, ships began firing. To a normal observer, it looked like they were shooting wildly into empty space. Most shots went nowhere near the alien vessels. On the main screen, they saw the alien commander appear again. Its skin was now a deep purple color, which Dr. Martinez had told them probably meant amusement or satisfaction. "Your aim is even worse today," the Vorsidian said. "Your weapons fire into empty space. Is this your final act of defiance? To waste your ammunition before you die?" Commander Foster did not respond to the message. Instead, she spoke to her crew. "Keep firing. Pattern beta now. Increase particle density." For 2 minutes, the human ships continued to fire into the space around the alien fleet. Not a single shot was aimed directly at a Vorsidian ship. The aliens did not fire back yet. They seemed confused by what was happening. "First readings coming in," Eric said. "Their shield harmonics are starting to fluctuate. The particle fields are working." On the screen, they could see faint shimmers in the space around the alien ships. The scatter field arrays were filling that space with countless tiny particles, creating areas of disruption that the alien shields had to work against. "Pattern Gamma," ordered Commander Foster. "Focus on the areas between their ships." Alex adjusted her targeting. Now the human fleet was firing in a way that would create particle fields in the spaces where the alien ships would move if they tried to change position. The Vorsidian commander appeared on screen again. This time, its skin was a dark red. "What trickery is this?" it demanded. "Your weapons fire at nothing. Explain yourselves." For the first time, Commander Foster responded. "We're not firing at nothing. We're firing exactly where we want to." She cut the transmission before the alien could respond. "Their shield strength is dropping by 12%, Eric reported. "They're trying to maintain full coverage, but the particle fields are forcing them to spread their energy too thin." Alex watched the readings on her screen. The Vorsidian shields worked by focusing energy where an attack was coming from, but with the particle fields all around them, their shields had to be strong everywhere at once. It was straining their systems. "They're starting to move," someone called out. "They're trying to get away from the particle fields." But as the alien ships moved, they found new particle fields waiting for them. No matter which way they turned, they faced the invisible disruption that human weapons had created. "Shield strength down 20% fleet-wide," Eric said, excitement in his voice. "They can't maintain this much longer." On the screen, they saw one of the smaller Vorsidian ships suddenly flicker. Its blue shield pulsed and then disappeared completely. The ship started to drift, its engines going dark. "First kill," Eric shouted. Their shields collapsed and the feedback knocked out their power systems. A cheer went up on the bridge, but Commander Foster quickly restored order. "Stay focused. Pattern Delta now. Let's take down the big ones." The human fleet adjusted its fire again, this time concentrating the particle fields around the 3 largest alien ships. "They're firing back," Alex called as green energy beams shot from several Vorsidian vessels. But the beams were not as accurate as before. Some missed completely. Others hit human ships, but with much less power than in the first battle. "Their weapons are connected to their shield systems, Commander," Foster explained. "When the shields weaken, so do their weapons. Another alien ship lost its shields, then another. The perfect V formation was breaking apart as ships tried to escape the invisible fields that were causing them so much trouble. The main Vorsidian vessel, twice the size of the others, fired all its weapons at once. Green beams shot out in every direction, some hitting human ships, others passing harmlessly into space. "They're panicking," Alex said. "They don't understand what's happening." "All ships," came Admiral Garcia's voice over the fleet-wide channel. "Focus fire on the command ship. Maximum particle density." Every human vessel adjusted its aim, creating an incredibly dense field of particles all around the main Vorsidian ship. Its shields glowed brighter and brighter as they tried to compensate. Then, with a flash that temporarily blinded the sensors, the command ship's shields collapsed. The energy backwash traveled through the ship itself, causing explosions along its hull. "Their command systems are down," Eric reported. "They're dead in space." All across the battlefield, the remaining Vorsidian ships were either drifting without power or frantically trying to retreat. Their perfect formation was gone. Their confidence was shattered. Admiral Garcia's voice came through again, this time addressed to the Vorsidians on an open channel. "Attention, Vorsidian fleet. Your command. Ship is disabled. 7 of your vessels are without power. The rest are trapped in our particle fields. You mocked our aim, but now you understand. We weren't aiming for the target. We were aiming for the space you thought was safe." The bridge of the Intrepid fell silent as they waited for a response. After a long moment, a different Vorsidian appeared on screen. This one's skin was pale gray. "We request terms for surrender," it said. 1 week after the battle, Lieutenant Alex Murphy stood in a large meeting room on the moon base Alpha. Through the wide window she could see Earth shining blue and white against the black sky. Around her stood officers from different ships and stations, all waiting for Admiral Garcia to arrive. Alex still found it hard to believe they had won. The Vorsidians, with their advanced technology and powerful ships, had surrendered. Humanity had found a way to beat an enemy that seemed unbeatable. The door opened and Admiral Garcia walked in. Everyone stood straight and saluted. She nodded and motioned for them to sit down. "At ease," she said. "We have a lot to discuss today. The Vorsidians have agreed to peace talks, but first we need to understand exactly what happened in the battle." She pressed a button, and a large screen lit up showing the battle from different angles. Alex watched as the human ships fired their scatter field arrays into what looked like empty space. Then she saw the alien shields start to flicker and fail. "Our strategy worked better than we expected," Admiral Garcia said. "The particle fields forced their shields to work harder than they were designed for. But there's more to it than that." She nodded to Dr. Olivia Martinez, who stood up from her seat. The scientist looked tired but pleased. "We've had a chance to study the disabled Vorsidian ships," Dr. Martinez said. "What we found was fascinating. Their shield technology is based on predictive targeting. Their systems try to guess where an attack will hit and strengthen the shields at that exact point." She showed a diagram of an alien ship with arrows pointing at it. "When we fired directly at them, their computers could easily predict where our shots would land. But when we fired into the space around them, creating particle fields, their prediction systems failed completely. They couldn't understand why we would fire where there was no target." Commander Helen Foster raised her hand. "So it wasn't just that we were spreading their shield energy thin, we were confusing their entire defensive system." "Exactly," Dr. Martinez said. "Their technology is very advanced, but it's based on assumptions about how warfare works. They assume that weapons are always aimed directly at targets. The concept of area denial or environmental manipulation is foreign to them." Admiral Garcia took over again. "This is why they mocked our aim. From their perspective, missing a target is always a failure. They couldn't conceive that we might be intentionally firing into empty space." Alex thought about this. It seemed so simple now. The aliens had a blind spot in their thinking and humans had found it. The Admiral continued. 3 days from now, we will meet with Vorsidian representatives to discuss peace terms. They've asked to meet on neutral ground, the International Space Station. This caused some muttering among the officers. The space station was hardly neutral. It was built and run by humans. They consider it neutral because it's not a warship, Dr. Martinez explained. Their culture draws a strong line between military and civilian structures. Admiral Garcia nodded. Lieutenant Murphy, you've been selected as part of the team that will meet with them. Your experience on the Intrepid during the battle will be valuable. Alex felt surprised. Me, Admiral? I'm not a diplomat. No, but you understand how our new weapon system works, and the Vorsidians have requested to speak with officers who were directly involved in the battle. 3 days later, Alex found herself on the space station, wearing her best uniform. The meeting room had been prepared, with special chairs for the Vorsidians, who were taller than humans and needed different back support. Admiral Garcia led the human team. There were 5 of them total: the Admiral, Alex, Commander Foster, Dr. Martinez, and a diplomat named George Harris. The Vorsidians entered the room in a single line. There were 3 of them. Their skin shifted colors as they walked, moving, from deep blue to purple and back. They wore what looked like armor made of a shiny black material. The one in front had markings on its armor that Alex guessed showed high rank. The lead Vorsidian spoke first. Its voice had an odd musical quality, like several tones playing at once. I am High Commander Zithvar of the Vorsidian Unity. I am authorized to negotiate terms with Earth forces. Admiral Garcia nodded. Admiral Caroline Garcia of the United Earth Coalition, we welcome this opportunity for peaceful discussion. The aliens sat down carefully in their special chairs. Their 4 eyes blinked in patterns that seemed to show nervousness. Your species has surprised us, Zithvar said. In 30,000 years of space travel, we have met 17 other intelligent species. All fought in ways we understood. None ever developed the type of weapons you used against us. Dr. Martinez leaned forward. Your shields are designed to stop direct attacks. Our weapons created disruption fields instead. The second Vorsidian spoke. Its voice was slightly higher pitched. This concept was unknown to us. We assumed you were simply missing your targets due to primitive technology. Commander Foster smiled slightly. We weren't missing. We were hitting exactly where we aimed. The room fell silent for a moment. Alex could see the alien's skin turning a deep blue color. According to Dr. Martinez's briefing, this indicated deep thought or consideration. We would like to understand this way of thinking, Zithvar said finally. On our world, predators attack directly. The concept of changing the environment itself as a weapon is new to us. Alex spoke up. Humans evolved as pursuit predators. We don't just attack what is there now. We think about where things will be or how to change conditions to our advantage. The third Vorsidian, who had been quiet until then, made a strange clicking sound. This explains much. Your species thinks differently than ours. Admiral Garcia nodded. Different doesn't mean better or worse, just different. We hope this can be the beginning of understanding between our peoples, not just an end to conflict. Zithvar's skin turned a lighter shade of blue. We came to your system believing we were superior. We have learned this was incorrect. The Vorsidian Unity proposes a treaty of non-aggression and knowledge exchange. Knowledge exchange? Admiral Garcia asked. Yes. We wish to learn how humans think, and we can offer technological knowledge in return. The meeting continued for hours. They discussed terms, boundaries, and future meetings. By the end, they had the framework for a peace treaty that would recognize Earth's independence and establish regular communication between humans and Vorsidians. As they were preparing to leave, Zithvar approached Alex directly. Lieutenant, our records show you were operating one of the weapons that created the particle fields. Alex nodded. Yes, I was at the tactical station on the USS Intrepid. When you aimed your weapon into empty space, were you confident it would work, or was it desperation? Alex thought for a moment. Both, I suppose. We had theories about your shield technology, but we couldn't be certain until we tried. Zithvar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Humans take great risks. This is dangerous, but also admirable. After the Vorsidians left, Alex stood with Admiral Garcia, looking out at Earth through the station window. Do you think they'll keep their word? Alex asked. The Admiral smiled. I think they're genuinely curious about us now. We showed them something they'd never seen before. That's a powerful foundation for respect. Alex nodded. They mocked our firing until they realized we weren't aiming for the target. And that, Admiral Garcia said, may be the most important lesson they've learned in thousands of years of space travel. Never assume you understand how another species thinks. 1 year had passed since the battle with the Vorsidians. Earth had changed in ways few people could have imagined before. Lieutenant Alex Murphy, now Captain Alex Murphy, stood on the observation deck of the newly built Unity station. The large space platform orbited halfway between Earth and the Moon, constructed as a joint project between humans and Vorsidians. From here, Alex could see ships coming and going. Some were human designs, practical and sturdy. Others were Vorsidian, curved and elegant. They moved together in the carefully managed traffic lanes, no longer enemies but partners. "Quite a view, isn't it?" said a voice behind her. Alex turned to see Admiral Garcia. The Admiral looked better than she had in months. The dark circles under her eyes were gone, and she stood straighter. "Yes, Admiral," Alex replied. "Hard to believe this all started with them laughing at our bad aim." Admiral Garcia smiled. Sometimes being misunderstood can be an advantage. They walked together along the curved observation deck. Through the large windows, they could see a new type of ship being built in the nearby construction yard. It was neither fully human nor fully Vorsidian in design, but something new that took elements from both. "The Earth Vorsid Explorer will be ready for its first mission next month," Admiral Garcia said. "You've been selected as the human tactical officer." Alex stopped walking. "Me? But I'm not a diplomat or a scientist." "No. But you understand something important about both our species. You were there when we discovered their weakness, and you've been learning their language for the past year." It was true. Alex had spent much of the past year working with the Vorsidians, trying to understand them better. She had learned to speak their complex language with its multiple tones, and they had taught her about their history and culture. "The mission is to explore beyond our solar system," Admiral Garcia continued. "The Vorsidians have star maps of systems they've visited, but there are many they haven't explored. We'll be going together as equals." As they talked, 3 Vorsidians entered the observation deck. Alex recognized High Commander Zithvar, now the official ambassador to Earth. The Vorsidian's skin shifted to a friendly gold color when it saw them. "Admiral Garcia, Captain Murphy," Zithvar said in its musical voice. "We are pleased to find you here. We have news from the Vorsidian Unity." They moved to a small meeting area with comfortable seats for both species. Zithvar's 2 assistants remained standing. "The Unity Council has approved the final treaty," Zithvar said. "All 17 worlds previously under Vorsidian control will now be part of the new galactic cooperative. Each species will have equal voting rights." This was huge news. For thousands of years, the Vorsidians had ruled over other species they encountered. Now, because of what happened with Earth, they were creating a true partnership of different worlds. "That's wonderful news, Ambassador," Admiral Garcia said. "Earth's council will be pleased." Zithvar's skin rippled with bands of blue and gold. "This change would not have happened without the battle with Earth. You showed us a different way of thinking that we had never considered." One of Zithvar's assistants spoke up. "We have studied your history extensively now. Humans have always used indirect approaches in warfare. From your ancient battles using terrain and weather to your modern space tactics, you see possibilities we miss. And we've learned from your technology and precision," Alex said. "The new shield systems on our ships are better because they use your predictive algorithms combined with our area coverage approach." Zithvar made a gesture that Alex had learned meant deep respect. "The true strength of any species is not in weapons, but in adaptation. Humans adapt faster than any species we have encountered." Later that day, Alex found herself in the training room with Chief Engineer Kevin Powell from the old USS Intrepid. They were testing a new combined weapon system that used both human and Vorsidian technology. "Can you believe where we are now?" Kevin asked as he adjusted some settings on the device. "A year ago, we were fighting for our lives. Now we're building ships together." Alex nodded. The Vorsidians have changed a lot. They've had to rethink everything they believed about warfare and diplomacy. All because they didn't understand what we were aiming at, Kevin said with a smile. The training session was interrupted when Alex's communication device beeped. It was a message asking her to come to the main conference room. When she arrived, she found a mixed group of humans and Vorsidians looking at star maps projected in the center of the room. Admiral Garcia waved her over. "Captain Murphy, good timing. We've just received some interesting news from one of the joint scout ships." On the large display, Alex could see images of a strange-looking ship. It wasn't human or Vorsidian in design. "We've detected signs of another spacefaring civilization," one of the Vorsidian scientists explained. "This one is unknown to us. Their ship was spotted at the edge of the Tau Ceti system." Alex studied the images. "Have they noticed us? Made any contact?" "Not yet," Admiral Garcia said. "But we're sending the Earth Vorsid Explorer to make first contact. That's why I wanted you here. The mission has been moved up. You leave in 1 week." For the rest of the day, Alex was busy with preparations. The new joint ship would carry a crew of 30, 15 humans and 15 Vorsidians. They would represent both species to this new civilization. That evening, she returned to the observation deck. The lights had been dimmed for the night cycle, and she could see the stars more clearly. Somewhere out there was another intelligent species with their own history and way of thinking. Zithvar joined her at the window. The Vorsidian stood quietly for a moment before speaking. "Are you concerned about the mission, Captain Murphy?" Alex thought about it. "A little. We don't know anything about this new species. They might be peaceful, or they might be hostile. Before, meeting humans, we Vorsidians would have approached with confidence that our technology made us superior," Zithvar said. "Now we understand that different thinking can overcome technological advantages. We'll approach them carefully," Alex said, "and we'll try to understand how they think before making judgments." Zithvar's skin glowed a soft blue in the dim light. "That is the lesson we learned from our encounter with your species. Never assume you understand another's capabilities or intentions." As they looked out at the stars, Alex thought about how much had changed. A misunderstanding about human warfare had led to peace, partnership, and now a joint mission to meet a new civilization. The Vorsidians had mocked human firing until they realized humans weren't aiming for the target. That realization had changed the galaxy forever. "Whatever we find out there," Alex said, "we'll face it together." Zithvar made the Vorsidian gesture of agreement. "Together, with different ways of thinking, we are stronger than either of us alone." In 1 week, the Earth Vorsid Explorer would depart, carrying the first truly joint mission into the unknown. Humans and Vorsidians, once enemies who misunderstood each other, now allies who valued their differences. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, a new species waited to be discovered.